What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right. Look, man, I'm looking forward to a fight that's going to be taking place sometime in the early part of 2019, man. This is just me getting towards the holiday season, thinking about these fights that are taking place early part of next year. And Gervonta Tank Davis is supposed to be fighting Abner Mares. And there's another fight that I'm looking forward to that's taking place in December, and that is Vasyl Lomachenko versus Jose Pedraza for the WBA and the WBO lightweight titles. Actually, the WBA Super World Lightweight title. That's going to take place on, I do believe, 2 weeks from now, December 8th. But this will be the first time where Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis will have a common opponent. And it'll be interesting to see how Jose Pedraza performs against Lomachenko and comparing it to how he performed against Gervonta Davis. But I am a believer, despite all of the fact that there's not been a lot of conversation about the fight, and the fact that Gervonta Davis outside of the ring just seems like he's all over the place and has real potential to be danger. Like the biggest danger to Gervonta Davis's career is Gervonta Davis outside the ring and not inside the ring. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Abner Mares and the potential of this Lomachenko versus Gervonta Davis fight actually happening, because this is, along with some other fights. I just did a video about Jarrett Hurd and Jermell Charlo, where there are fights in boxing that are fights that will get two different fan bases very exciting. They're excited, and there'll be a lot of back and forth about the fight. Well, actually, Jarrett Hurd and Jermell Charlo, maybe that's like a South versus East thing, but it's be even more pronounced with Vasyl Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Jose Pedraza fight with Lomachenko, and I'm going to talk about the Mares Gervonta Davis fight, and then the hope. And I'm thinking that it's going to happen, man. I have a feeling that it's going to happen between Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis, probably in 2020. That's what my instinct tells me. Now, and then I'm going to tell you about at around that point in time, that might not turn out like a lot of people think it's going to turn out. And I think it showed itself a good bit in the Jorge Linares fight. Now, before I get into that, though, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe so that you can be notified when we release more videos, and also when we do the live streams. We do them pretty much every morning, Monday through Friday, many times Saturday. So Davis versus Lomachenko to me is one of the top fights that you can make in boxing. And it is something that I believe would be one of the most accomplished fighters, professional fighters, in Vasyl Lomachenko. Even though he hasn't had a lot of fights, he has, every fight that he's fought except for the first one were for a major championship belt. And even the first fight that he fought was for a secondary title. But every fight that he's fought has either been to win a belt or to defend a belt. And hey, man, that says a lot, man. It says a lot. He's got some good wins on his record. He showed me something against Jorge Linares, getting off the deck to come and stop the guy. That showed me that he's got some heart, but it also shows me that he's got some vulnerability out there at 135 pounds, because I don't think anybody would consider Jorge Linares to be the heaviest hitter in the world. Not quite feather-fisted, but definitely not somebody that has got the power of a Gervonta Davis. Now, Gervonta Davis, on the other hand, is going to be fighting a guy that is that has a good name, a big name, and somebody that has had a lot of experience over the last 5 years. At one point in time, Abner Mares was, at featherweight I think the best of Abner Mares was at super bantamweight when he beat Ponce de Leon. But then once he moved up to Actually, Ponce de Leon, I do believe, was for the WBC featherweight title. But before that was Moreno. But he won the featherweight title against, or the 126-pound title against Moreno. And then went on to beat Johnny Gonzalez, which, man, Johnny Gonzalez was a good fighter, man. I used to really like Johnny Gonzalez, but he knocked out Johnny Gonzalez. And then, actually, he got knocked out by Johnny Gonzalez. And that was, you know, pretty much the beginning of the downfall of him. He lost again a couple years later to Leo Santa Cruz at super featherweight. Then he beat Cuellar, Gutierrez. And then he just lost again this last June, I believe, June or July, against Leo Santa Cruz again. So 2 of his 3 losses are against Leo Santa Cruz, and they're at a weight class that is lower than what Gervonta Davis is fighting. But he is an experienced fighter, and let me not front, he's going to get knocked out. He's going to absolutely positively get knocked out and look spectacular in that fight. But it is a more experienced fighter, so maybe there'll be who's been in championship fights before. I know that Jose Pedraza had been in that situation as well, having won the belt. And then defended it, having won the, well, yeah, it was for the IBF. That's the IBF belt, the IBF super featherweight belt, the one that Gervonta Davis had, where he won it against Klimov, and then he defended it against Edner Cherry and Stephen Smith. But then he got knocked out by Gervonta Davis, and he's been back on a win streak since then after having jumped over there. I think he jumped over and fought 3 times in 2018 against Rodriguez, Moran, and Beltran. And so now he's back for his 4th fight in a year against Vasyl Lomachenko. But he did have some experience with Gervonta when Gervonta Davis fought him, but definitely was not the level or the caliber of fighter, at least the reputation wise, as Abner Mares is. But I mean, look, I'm not going to shine that turd. Abner Mares is going to get hurt. More than likely, Abner Mares is going to get hurt. But Gervonta Davis, I do not believe, because of the way he blows up in between those fights, is going to wind up staying at 130 pounds. I really believe that he's going to wind up moving up to 135 pounds. And the 135 pounds belts that will be available more than likely are going to be the WBC belt and the WBC belt and the IBF belt, which are the 2. One of the belts was dropped by Mikey Garcia, right? When Mikey Garcia decided to fight Errol Spence Jr. and he didn't fight Richard Comey. So Richard Comey, I'm not sure who Richard Comey is going to fight, or if who Richard Comey is going to fight for the IBF title. I would like to see it be Robert Easter or whatever again, but one of those 2 belts, either the WBC or the IBF, will eventually be what Gervonta Davis fights for. And I think Gervonta Davis is going to do well at lightweight. Anything above lightweight, I mean, I really do think that's his limit, because, just because of the height of, just because of the fact that he's only 5'5", was he 5'5", 5'6", right? Maybe 5'4". You never know how people do these numbers, but I think he's going to wind up at lightweight. Vasyl Lomachenko is not going anywhere above lightweight. So since those 2 guys are going to be at lightweight, because Gervonta Davis is 24 years old, having already lost a belt at 130 pounds for missing weight, the way that he's blowing up in weight, he's going to be at 135 pounds, which means that Lomachenko is going to be at 135 pounds. Gervonta Davis is going to be at 135 pounds, and neither one of them are going to go, or can go, in my opinion, any higher. Lomachenko can't go to 140. Gervonta Davis cannot go to 140 and expect to win consistently against guys like Josh Taylor. Probably won't be there at the time, but guys like Josh Taylor, that's just going to be terribly difficult thing for guys that are 5'6", 5'5", and 5'6", But anyway, I'm really believing that 2019, probably 2020, that Gervonta Davis and Lomachenko are gonna fight. And like I said in the beginning, I think that fight could turn out differently than a lot of people think. Having watched the way that Gervonta Davis fights and the way that Vasyl Lomachenko fights, they're both southpaws. the speed and punching power of Gervonta Davis mixed with getting the more experience. So like he's 26 years old versus, and then Vasyl Lomachenko being what, 30 at the time. He'll be maybe, what is he going to be, 32 by the time that comes around? I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's going to be something like 32 years old in 2020. You know, youth is on the side, strength is on the side, speed is on the side, and him having been knocked down by, yeah, because he's going to turn 31. He'll be 32 by the time that happens, man. And little guys get older faster. I think that that's going to be a situation where Gervonta Davis can probably pop out of that with the win. And I'm hoping that I'm hoping that the fight will happen. So anyway, it is what it is. The thing that really keyed me to do the video is that this is going to be the first time Vasyl Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis will have a common opponent. I'm thinking, of course, I'm leaning to Vasyl Lomachenko to beat Jose Pedraza. But at the same time, man, I'm telling you, I think Jose Pedraza is going to be a better fight. Is going to be a better fight for him than you would think. I don't think that Lomachenko is going to run through Jose Pedraza. Jose Pedraza is a good boxer. He's got fast hands. I mean, I think personally, I put him on right along the same caliber of fighter as Jorge Linares, but doesn't have as faulty a chin as Jorge Linares does. Jorge Linares got knocked out by guys that ain't got any business knocking him out. And Gervonta Davis knocking out Jose Pedraza, pretty much anybody that gets in the ring with Gervonta Davis got a chance of getting put to sleep because he's so fast, he's so strong, he punches when you punch, and it can get real ugly with him. So I'm not, and he took some really good, and Pedraza took some real good shots from Ray Beltran. So I don't think he really has as big a chin issue as Jose Pedraza, as Jorge Linares did. But you know, it is what it is. We'll see if it happens. And with that, I'm out. Peace.